Hello, this is C++ Lesson 6, Else If and Else Statements. This recording will be live on YouTube on Wednesday, July 3rd at 12 p.m. Hello guys, welcome back to C++. Today we're going to do an expansion on if statements and show you two new statements you can use to expand your ability to handle any conditions. So let's go into our C++ and let's open up CS1. Perfect. So now we want to, let's see what files we have. I see that we have bool.cpp, so let's open that. I have refined the bool.cpp programming file. So if you want to refine your programming file to match mine, pause the video. Otherwise, we will go ahead and add to this. So if x is less than 10, we should be printing out x is less than 10, which is true. Let's actually change this to x equals 11. Let's see what it puts out. Nothing. That's pretty weird. Well, actually it's not, because it only checks for this condition, and if this condition is true, the program will print out x is less than 10. I'm gonna show you a new word called else, and just like in English, it outputs anything in this chunk of code between these two brackets if the condition x is less than 10 is false. So let's see out the fact that x is greater than or equal to 10. Now let's see what it outputs. It outputs x is greater than or equal to 10 because, in fact, x is greater than or equal to 10. So it skipped the first block of code, the if code, and it went all the way to the else block of code. But what if we put in x is equal to 9? I apologize. That was an egregious error on my part. Let's run this. X is less than 10. And indeed, x is less than 10. Because x is equal to 9. This statement is false, so it goes, this statement is actually true. So it goes to this chunk of code right here, x is less than 10. But this seems kind of long. X is greater than or equal to 10. We kind of want to simplify that even more. I want to know if x is actually equal to 10. How can I do that? Well, I can do this. I can place an else if here with a condition. X is equal to 10. This is called an else if condition. Else if conditions only can happen after an if condition and before an else condition. So if x is equal to 10, we can see out the fact that x is equal to 10. Now let's test all three conditions with 9, 10, and 11. So with 9, we should get out this. X is less than 10. Because of the condition we have. And in fact, x is less than 10. What if x is equal to 10? We should get out x is equal to 10. And in fact, we do. X is in fact equal to 10. Now let's do x is equal to 11. And we should get x is greater than 10. That is true. Now, why did you just do an else here? And why didn't you say else if x is greater than 10, like you did here? Well, it's because of this. If the if condition is false, it goes down one till it sees an else or a closed bracket. And if this condition is false, it goes, because it has an else, which is a conditional statement, and if this is false, it goes down to else. There is no conditional statement between here and here, which means that this chunk of code will run if all previous if statements are false. So, let's go over what we quickly learned today. We reviewed the if statement and booleans greater than and equal to. I mean less than and equal to, I apologize. And we learned the structure of if, else statements. Now, what we can do is we can add as many else if statements as we want to in our code. But we can only have one if statement and one else statement in a chunk of if statements. A chunk of if statements always starts with if, and if we wanted to, ends with else. Else, however, is not required. It kind of depends on the program you are using. I want to show you another thing. We can have as many if statements in our program. I would like to call these conditional blocks. They're not really conditional blocks, but I want to call them that. A conditional block is basically a block where an if statement is held, and maybe also else if statements and else statements. So right now we have two else if statements. We have two if statements. I apologize. Which means that we have two conditional blocks. I want to check if x is positive or negative. So I'm going to see out if x is less than 0. I'm going to see out x is negative. Else if x is equal to 0, I'm going to see out x is 0. And then else, if x is not negative and x is not 0, x must be positive. Perfect. So it's going to run two conditional blocks and see out two statements regarding the value of x. So let us check it with x equals 11. We always have to check for errors, guys. So for 11, x is greater than 10 and x is positive. Now let's check 0. For 0, x is less than 10 and x is 0. Alright, let's check one more. Let's check negative 5. X is less than 10 and x is negative. And in fact, that is true. Our program ran two conditional blocks in seconds. You will be using if, else if, and else statements a lot in programming. So to conclude this video, we learned if statements, else if statements, and else statements. I want to give you a little scoop on what we are going to learn in the next video real quick. We're going to learn these things called loops. They're going to be a little challenging to new people who are new to coding, but if you know what loops are, you're going to be fine. I will explain them in as much detail as I can, but just a fair warning that it's going to be a pretty confusing and pretty tough new chapter in our lesson. If you have any questions on what we learned today, please feel free to contact me through the comments or contact me through one of my social medias. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope you learned something from this Thank you so much and have a great day.